here we go with episode 10 of a Podful of Saints, and cheers, everybody. Oh, that's a nice crest. I don't know why we don't adopt that. Lee, that's not the sort of stuff we should be going for this time of night. There we go. Anyway, that's Lee Wood. We'll say hello to him.
Evening, gentlemen. How are we?
Very well. Nice shirt.
Thank you.
Jake, are you there as well? Hello.
I am, sadly. Hello.
We'll endorse that comment, by the way. Right, we got a game to review and one to preview on what is it now? Thursday, the 30th of September 2012. We can do another Mark Bolan reference. He would have been 74 today. That's 2 this series. Right, football. Last Saturday, Havant Waterlooville. We were expecting a tough game. In many ways, it was, but an excellent win, 1-0. Who wants to kick it off?
Well, I think we're going up, aren't we? That's basically promotion secured. No, it was like you say, it was a really tough game first half, especially first 20, 25 minutes. But after that, I thought the Saints really impressed. When you looked at that team sheet, when you looked at sort of Hugh Dawson, Alex Lancashire, etc., not our strongest team out, I was a bit worried. But we came out, we played well. We the back three to start with didn't really work. Changed it to a 4 after Michael Johnson's injury break, shall we call it that? And yeah, I thought after that, the Saints were really disciplined, had some really good chances. Of course, fortunate with the own goal. But at the end of the day, I think the Saints probably just about edged it. But it was a tough game, as you say. But it's just really good to get one over a big team like Havant, I thought.
Lee?
What a goal. What a goal. One thing I would say is if that Romeo Akinola could finish like that defender could, we'd be champions by Christmas. What a goal. But take out the equation that it was a defender that scored it. Really worked goal. Confidence to play out from the back. The one thing what I think we're seeing now, fellas, is the team now comfortable in the formation, comfortable with the players around them, really sort of embedding themselves into the system and the formation. It's a real pleasure to watch. And bearing in mind that on the whole, we've seen some wonderful football over the years at Clarence Park, but we've also seen some dirge. But this team here is an absolute pleasure to watch. Obviously, Clifford, for them, he was a constant threat throughout. But I thought defensively, Jake, you sort of touched upon it there, mate. Really solid. I think Lancashire, mature above his years, really settled into the side quicker than what I thought he might have been. But again, going back to sort of goal, the confidence to play out from the back, and the ball from Bender, sublime. It was just in between the goalkeeper, and the box, and it's just it's fantastic play. But one thing I would say though is that the tempo is really, it's consistently good. My only criticism is that we were a little bit wasteful. Both strikers, in fact, but ultimately a win is a win, and I thought we were good value for it.
It was a great own goal, one of the best ones. None of this, was it an own goal? Was it a forward? No, he cracked it in with some style. It was Joe Newton, former Coney Heath player, of course, so he didn't want to upset the locals. And he put an own goal in the previous Saturday as well. So if you want to get down the bookie for this Saturday, go for the hat-trick. I thought actually a game in some ways, it was similar to so many City games this season. The first half, we were okay, but for 20 minutes, they were well on top, and they maybe could have won it then. You mentioned Billy Clifford. Oh, he got booked. That's unusual. He hit the crossbar. They had other chances, and we looked to be on the rack for a while. But having weathered that, again, we had a decent second half, and you just wait for the day when we have a full 90 minutes. And you mentioned the reorganising of the side. Alex Lancashire, again, was in excellent form, played about 3 different positions during the game. As Ian kept changing the side around. And yeah, Jake was right. On paper, that didn't look our strongest side for a game like that. But we showed up well. And in fact, let's have a look at the 3 top sides we were reckoned pre-season. Dartford, Dorking and Havant. All right, we lost 2 out of 3. But I would say the best. Dartford, by far the best of them. And even they could have gone away with just a point at the park.
You've also you have to forget though, mate, is that it's just the way that we're playing football. We could have caved. We could have caved under their pressure, but we didn't. And I think that's a sign that the team was developed as a whole. And, you take away the 2 late goals from Dorking and Dartford, mate, we could be points up. But I'm really happy with the way the team is progressing, but also playing with a little bit of purpose as well now. Really good to watch, easy on the eye.
Still any concerns that if Jeffers doesn't score, we don't score, unless the opposition want to give us a hand?
As I touched on earlier on, I am concerned that we're quite wasteful, really wasteful. Akinola, again. Jeffers had a couple of gilt-edged ones, though, to be fair. But as long as we're winning, it's not really a concern. But, you know, it is in the back of your mind, isn't it? Akinola almost sort of needs 3 or 4 opportunities to score 1 goal. And at this level, is it good enough? And how long until Ian Allison looks for alternatives?
Been putting the boot into the defence a bit this season. 3 successive clean sheets now. One a tricky one at Concord. I know they got stuffed 3-0 at home last Saturday. And then the tricky one with Havant. Time to give them some credit.
Absolutely. I think, you know, we gave them a lot of stick at the start of the season, and we said, you know, did we have enough players? Did we have the right players in the squad? But it has to be said that Chris and Ian have done a great job building them up, getting them ready over the last couple of weeks. And the players as well, they deserve a lot of credit. Last couple of weeks defensively, been absolutely superb. That second half against Havant, I expected a bit of a surge, a bit of a real push. And there was a somewhat of one when Alex Wall and Scott Rendell come on, etc. But it wasn't huge. And when they did come, the Saints comfortably dealt with the corners and the deliveries into the box and looked pretty comfortable in the end. So, you know, I think it was really good. And again, against Concord, like you said, Dave, you know, that night, 2 teams, you know, slightly different teams, did well against both. And I think the defence is the most pleasing thing for me in the last couple of weeks. After giving it so much stick, to see it come good now and to not have to score 3 or 4 goals to win a game. It's a nice treat.
You mentioned about the subs they brought on. One of the players they took off was James Roberts. They played him out wide on the flank. And you think, what on earth is going on there? Surely he should be down the middle.
Yeah, he was unbelievable for Oxford last season, wasn't he? What, 11 in 16, something like that? And yeah, really interesting, isn't it? Like you said, Dave, we expected them to be very strong this season. And you look at that team, a lot of big names have spent a lot of money. And at the end of the day, their main tactics seem to be hoof ball forward. And it just didn't work at all, did it?
Don't forget, though, Jake, that we touched on this last week, mate. Money doesn't automatically guarantee you success. We've seen teams crumble far quicker than Havant have. Yeah. Talking about sort of playing compliments, I have to say the commentary with Johnny and yourself, mate, was absolutely fantastic. No, I have to say, because, you know, we've been putting the boot in this left, right, and centre, but credit where it is due. The commentary on Saturday was clear. It was concise. You know, so well played, fellas. It was a much improvement.
Thank you very
much. Would have been better.
What's the matter with you?
Colin Thomas would have been better, Lee.
Don't start, mate. Hey, we've got some flack for that, mate.
Don't mention that. Yeah.
I haven't heard it yet, Jake. Hopefully, the 7 days are up and I can't get it now. Of course, no David Noble Saturday. I don't think that was totally unexpected, was it?
No, but we have to say as well, praise to Hugh Dawson and the midfield as well. Again, after that first 20 minutes, I think they adjusted. Billy Clifford got a lot of joy the first 20 minutes in the middle of the park. But after that, they managed to readapt and do a job on him. And, you know, Hugh, he's learning his trade, you know, and the rest of the midfield as well, they all supported him. And I was really concerned, but I thought they all did absolutely brilliantly in the end. And Hugh Dawson, he's not convinced everyone this season, but I think he deserves all the praise for Saturday as well.
Well, we said how well Alex did playing in various positions. One player also got moved to the right of midfield, or certainly pushed forward early on, was Joy McKenna, and that didn't work out quite so well.
No, but that's what happens when you don't have a right back in the squad, isn't it? You know, we keep mentioning this. We don't have a natural right back, but Dave Deja and Joy McKenna are just about doing the job at the moment in there. Thought Dave Deja did well second half at right back, similar against Concord again. But it's an area of concern, but can we be too concerned when we haven't conceded? It's quite interesting to see Joy McKenna running full pelt down the flank. I was like, what's he doing there? But, you know, tactically wise, the Saints got it right in the end.
It's funny, you look at the opposition. 2 things about haven't disappointed me by they played. They played a lot more long ball than I expected. For a side they spent that much money on, you expect a bit more football than that. I don't think that's going to get the best out of them. We saw it Saturday. And I thought they were overly physical, certainly the most physical side we've seen this season.
Yeah, I thought so as well. But is that surprising? It's a Paul Doswell side. We know what they're like. I thought second half, when they were losing their way, they just reverted to pushing us over and giving away free kicks, and it worked in the Saints' favour in the end, I thought. So, they've got a lot of work to do down there, I think, to turn that team around. But at the end of the day, we got the 3 points. Oh well.
Yeah, 6 games unbeaten. There's only one threat to Dartford now, isn't there?
That's optimistic, Tavs, and that's quite a billing, mate, coming from you this early on in the season.
Yeah.
Right.
You've normally got us like relegated by October.
Plenty of time to withdraw it.
There he is. There
Right.
he is.
Any other issues from the day to talk about?
I got accosted at the turnstile, no real reason. By an unnamed volunteer who, unexpectedly just trying to get into the ground. But there we go. How did you find
accosted?
Well, just had a go at me, really, and I was like, okay.
It's ludicrous. That's our job.
Yeah, exactly.
Not a club official, but there you go.
No.
What happened? What happened? Come on, tell us.
I was just I went into the gate, said hello, and the volunteer sort of started having had a go at me about that we'd mentioned Colin's commentary on or the fact that he couldn't go on. So
how dare we?
But that's a decision between the club and Radio Verulam, and we were merely commenting it. So there we go. But Dave, how did you find the sound system on Saturday?
Oh, dreadful again. Absolutely dreadful. It seemed to be turned down a few decibels inside the main stand, but not only on the far side, but even behind the goal, a Euro goal. To if you're looking at it, so it'd be the right hand side towards the cricket pitch side, you still couldn't hear it. So the club is not providing a service, and in these days when unless you've got about 12 years old and now to use one of those mobile phone thingies, you've got no way of getting the team because you can't hear it.
No.
It's a very poor service.
I agree. I mean, as I said, I've been told that they're coming in to look at it next week. I mean, so we'll see next time our home game. But
I said that last week, Jake.
Exactly. So it's been going on for a little while now. So we'll see.
Tabs,
we can hope.
Can we not sort of tempt you to sort of dabble in a smartphone or technology or common sense, perhaps? No, is it not?
He's got one smart enough. Just about does the job, I think.
I've got one, Lee. How do you turn it on?
Was that our last game at Clarence Park where you could pay on the gate?
And I'm told there was a queue of people wishing to pay by card, and all the others got in a bit quicker, those who paid in advance. So all of those who want to pay by cards, whether they were home supporters, because Havant didn't bring that many, funny enough, very poorly supported, we thought. All those people, unless they go online in future, they will no longer be welcome at Clarence Park.
Yeah. Oh, we should also mention that after the last podcast, we've appointed a full-time media manager, which was...
Well, you can pronounce his name, I can't.
Andy, I think Kittersley, is it? Has come in from Netflix, BBC, etc. I've had quite a few conversations with him. I know him fairly well. I think he'll do well. But I think it's a bit of a surprise to most supporters to suddenly find we've got a full-time media manager. I don't know what you guys thought.
I'd rather the money spent on like a full-time right back, if I was honest with you. As I say, you introduced me to him at the Concord game. He seems a nice fella. Loves an emoji. Because obviously we're all 12. But on the whole, mate, I think media is vital. No, it is vital though. Media, especially when you're trying to reach, a widened demographic of people. And if he's going to bring that sort of caliber along as well, then that's absolutely fine. Full time, does it need it? We'll soon find out. But he's done a good job so far. So congratulations, and looking forward to many emojis to come.
Well, I'm told that the highlights, the flash, and other things like that is very glitzy, which seems to be the route the club is going down. But for other people, if they're trying to follow a game on Twitter, it's impossible. No opposition players are named and whatnot. It is very poor. The previews are an embarrassment to the club, and the match reports are not a lot better. So they've got to get that side right as well, not just the glitzy side, which will impress the kids.
Yeah. If only there was a former press officer there to sort of offer his talents to help that out, David.
I don't think that's going to happen somehow, Lee. Do you?
Do you not?
Anyway, at our next home league game, hopefully Andy can get a lot of things right, because according to the team sheet, the next home game is Saturday, the 16th of September. That was last Saturday's team sheet.
Oh, we're going back in time. Yeah. I would say one thing I'd like to see him focus on is the presence in the local media of St Albans, improve that again, and the local community as well. Because at the moment, do you see the Saints about much? You know, especially the Hearts ad, etc., just around St Albans. Could that be improved? I think, you know, Lee, when we were there, we talked about a lot of get much more presence in the city centre. And I think that desperately needs it. And it did improve, and then it's gone again, hasn't it?
The thing is, though, Jake, we had a different vision, mate. We wanted to sort of encapsulate the whole sort of city vibe, get the people who live within the city. I think now there's a conscious effort to focus outside of St Albans to get a more worldwide, nationwide collective looking at the club, which is great. It's great for numbers, it's great for engagement, but it's not necessarily great for bums on seats. That said, though, mate, it's horses for courses. Different things work now, and the club have chosen to go a different way, which is absolutely fine. But they're going to be judged on the numbers and the money that they bring into the club. You know, the whole Enter Shikari thing, absolutely majestic, brilliant. Tavs, don't shake your head, mate. It's worked. It's worked, whether you like it or not, fella.
It's a music. It's not music.
Yeah, I know, but
I'm too old for it, Lee.
Yeah, well, you're too old for most things, though. Mate.
Yes,
you know, you have to sort of dig into that, mate. Dig into it. It's different, though, Jake. You know, you know, people would have looked at the stuff that we did, and on the whole, what we did was productive. And it was well thought out, and hopefully, you know, things now that Andy's going to sort of implement is going to be just as beneficial. So let's hope so. Yeah,
and you know, he's full time, so he's got loads of time now to do it. Not like us when we were volunteers and doing it all, you know. So the time is there, the investment is there now, must be. So hopefully it keeps improving.
Meanwhile, the Hearts had pushback. I haven't seen a copy since I moved here.
Well, if there's any sort of a consolation, Tabs, it was Coney Heath on the back page today, mate, followed by some bowls, I think.
Yeah, that'll be because their press guy gets in touch with the paper. Lesson to be learnt.
Shots fired.
I would say last season we saw the treatment of the local press really dive off the cliff, especially you, Dave, and of course Neil at the Heart ad as well. For a time, was awful, wasn't it? And I think there's a lot of rowing back that the club needs to do with those guys. Yourself and the review and the Hearts ad, because that situation was a disaster. It's improved slightly with Neil. He does get access now, but as we said at the time, it's very poor, and I think there still needs to be, well, improvements made.
Right,
it's a community club, though, right?
Oh, sorry, Lee.
No, I was just saying, but it's a community club, though, right?
Yes, it is.
Wow. Sorry, Taz, carry on, mate.
That's right. As we were saying, FA Cup game coming up this Saturday, third round qualifying, away to Metropolitan Police. Wilford sent an email in asking if it's online or will they accept coppers. Tickets, he means.
Very good. I believe it's all pay on the gate, from what I understand. So
you'd have thought so. What do we know about them? Southern League Premier Division, unbeaten so far this season. Former City player as manager, Gavin McPherson.
They're quite good.
They're quite good. They've had 5 home games this season. They haven't won yet, but they haven't lost. All 5 of them drawn.
So replay them next Tuesday?
Well, you don't want to replay because they've had 7 away games. They've drawn 1 and won the last 6.
Well,
the thing is, though, Jake, they're quite good in the Southern League, mate. You know, that's like saying, you know, a pint in the Rats Castle is quite good, but it's not a pint in, you know.
Lee, you saw what happened to 7 of our clubs in the last round against lower opposition.
Yeah, but those clubs aren't St Albans City, my friend.
You're dead right. Not a lot gets past you, does it? Imber Court. We've been there before, haven't we?
We have. It was against
a nice pitch.
Corinthian Casuals, wasn't it? I remember it was quite a rainy day, and by all accounts, it's going to be a rainy day on Saturday. So,
yeah, rainy day. You pissed down, mate, for like 2 hours.
It'd be that Wally with a brolly again behind the goal, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Hello, Tim.
No, hello, Tim.
we know it's going to be really difficult. I mean, we've got to go on it full week. You know, we've got to play like we did on Saturday.
Do you see really Nobby coming back in?
Yes. I am convinced that he will come back in. I mean, that might not be right at the end of the day, but I think he's got to, because he'll allow that passing and moving that gets the goals going, gets the attacking movement. And I think we really need that. You know, the defence is good. Defence is good at the minute. Not an issue, hopefully, touch wood. The midfield, we need David Noble back in there. We saw what he did against Concord on Tuesday night. So, for me, he's got to be in there. And I'd put Mitchell Weiss in as well.
Tavs, can I ask you? So, Jake has just said that we need David Noble back. We seem to do okay without him. Are we going to need him back, sort of force him back unnecessarily against a team in a division below?
With no midweek game coming up next week, unless there's a replay, I think we will go with him. I think we do need him at the moment. If he's fully fit, which one assumes he will be, he just gives us that creativity. It's going to be a nice pitch down there by all accounts, so that's going to suit him. And I think it's beneficial to have him in the team, definitely.
I've had a friend of mine whose daughter goes to the same school as my daughter. We talk about City on the morning run. He asked a very interesting question to me, because obviously he's been watching the podcasts full, but he's just sort of getting into the whole St Albans City thing, and he's seen us mention Steve Clarke and the trophy runs and the cup games, etc. Obviously, he's aware that we've got a cup game coming up on Saturday, and he asked whether we've got to the third round proper yet. I said we haven't. Touch wood. Question he asked me was, would we prefer a massive game in the FA Cup third round, or would we prefer an FA Trophy semi-final?
Twice been in a draw for the third round.
Yeah.
Once against Barnsley, we would have got, I think, and the other one was Tottenham.
Yeah.
Which doesn't answer your question.
No.
I think most people would want the big tie at the third round, but long-serving supporters would probably go for a trophy semi-final, providing there's a final on the end of it.
So can I ask you this then? There's been a lot of press, especially this week, about, well, I'm not saying this week, the last sort of few years, in fact, about if the cup is really got as much, nostalgia and as much standing, as much grandeur as it has. Could we say now the same for the trophy, given the fact that it was an absolute farce the last sort of few years? Has it real got that sort of impetus now for sort of teams to go on and win it, or even be involved in it to sort of prolong a season, considering the fact that we are actually challenging as well for promotion ourselves? No,
trophy's lost a lot of its sparkle, just like the FA Cup. The Amateur Cup was big for years, getting magnificent crowds. The trophy never matched those crowds, and its interest has waned in the last few years without a shadow of a doubt. Same as
what do you think that's down to, though, Tabs?
What's it down to? I would imagine conference clubs doing the same as the Premiership clubs do. They put weakened sides out. The financial incentive is not great for the trophy. The gates are pretty poor. It's just, for some reason, just doesn't have the glamour. Can't put your finger on why, because it never has. It's had a few good years here and again, but it never really has grabbed the interest like the Amateur Cup did. Maybe it's something that we can put out to Twitter. What would our fans prefer to see? Would they prefer to have us in a massive glamour tie in the FA Cup third round, or would you like to see us perhaps maybe get a trophy final? Or, it'd be interesting, won't it? Because financially, the two aren't even comparable. But I suppose, as you say, Taz, it depends at what spectrum of age you are of fan. So maybe we'll put it out on Twitter. Jake, do you want to give them the Twitter? I think it's the down the pub question, Lee, to be honest. Okay. Well,
Twitter is basically the pub these days. So it's at a Podful of Saints. Before we do though, me and Lee wanted to mention a little tribute to David Ray, who's involved with City Youth for a long time, and it's the anniversary of his passing this week, wasn't it, Lee?
Yeah, Dave. I got to know Dave relatively well during the early days of Stand By Your Saints. He basically, along with Ross Kearney and myself, we had a meeting at the council, and he almost single-handedly got us a grant application through. An absolutely humble, adorable person who could do nothing wrong, and he would do everything he possibly could to benefit football in the city and St Albans City Football Club itself. Disappointing there wasn't a lot more from the parent club on social media, this week, but I would like to say a personal thank you, heartfelt thank you to Dave Ray, because he has helped. Without him, Stand By Your Saints wouldn't have even been formed, and we wouldn't have got all of the money and the grant, and we had all the improvements around the ground as a result. So he is an absolutely remarkable man, and in the short time I got to know him, he was fantastic. So well done, Dave.
I remember we used to do quiz nights on Sundays as a group of us, Pete Taylor, Steve Truelock, and we walked back from the pub, well gone 11 o'clock, and Dave Ray would be with Ian Woods in the pub, sitting there. They'd done all the financial stuff, done all the other stuff, still just jabbering away about football, just two long-serving football people having a great evening.
Yeah. Good.
Awesome. Well said, guys. Well said.
Well, right, we've got another one coming up in a minute, so we're going to interview Bernard Tominey. So we'll see you all shortly for that, hopefully.